Hey everyone, it's once again time for the Rock for Him podcast. We welcome you to episode number 42. And as always, I've got my two great co-hosts with me. I've got Sanchoos and downtown Jeremy Brown. And tonight we are so pleased to have with us a special guest and fellow Michigander, Mr. Matt Moore. Matt,
Yes,
how's
sir.
it going?
Very good, man. Thanks so much for having me on here.
Oh, we really appreciate you stepping up and taking time out of your schedule to chat with us.
For
And
sure.
maybe we'll kick it off. Maybe just give us a little background about yourself and maybe your family, where exactly in Michigan you're from, and some stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually born and raised up in Central Michigan. I was born in a little town called Clare. Currently live in Mount Pleasant, so haven't moved too far away. I'm married. I've been married for 22 years now. I've got 3 kids. They're all teenagers. I like to say they're little kids, but they're not so little anymore. Yeah, and have really just kind of been, I always say, independent rock artist, singer-songwriter, and worship leader from Central Michigan. So I lead worship in my home church and travel anywhere and everywhere they'll let me play in my original stuff. So
Awesome. So you got married when you were like 10?
yeah, young enough that there probably should have been some type of law.
Nice. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to know who Christ was? How tell us a little bit about your salvation story.
Yeah, absolutely. Really grew up in church. It's kind of a big part of it. My dad was my worship leader growing up, and just real strong faith in our family. Mom and dad were heavily involved and volunteered in our church, so we just kind of grew up around it, and it was pretty commonplace. So I got saved when I was 9 years old, around my kitchen table, and didn't totally grasp all of it or understand it at that point, probably at 9, and God got a hold of me then and there, and really never let go. Over the years, it just continued to reveal himself, continue to draw me closer, and help me learn as I go with a lot of it. So yeah, so I always felt for a long time like I didn't have a really cool testimony, because I didn't have like the super dramatic transformation testimony. I thought, man, nobody wants to hear this. But really a big part of my testimony is that God's just been faithful in my life for so many years now, and now in my family, and it's pretty incredible.
And before Jeremy gets into it, I just want to say, never think that your testimony isn't as special and as amazing as anybody else's. I mean, we hear that a lot as, oh, I grew up in church, mine's not all that great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's just as beautiful as the guy that, went through hard times and Christ saved him, because Christ reached down and grabbed you too, just as much as, someone who is out on the streets. So yours is just as beautiful as everybody else's.
Yeah, it's taken me a long time to really, own that and understand it. But I remember like artists coming into church and be like, man, I was addicted to this and was here and was there. And God, just the way like God completely transformed and radically wrecked their lives. And I'm like, that's awesome. I want that. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I'm awful thankful for the story I've got. So.
I liked how you said that you didn't grasp everything at 9 years old and you're continuing to grow, because that progressive sanctification that we all run through is important too. So absolutely no bad testimony here.
The cool part about your walk with God is, I think, the closer you get, the more you realize how far away you are. And the more you realize that you have to learn. So even at 43, like I'm still learning more every day. God's still revealing more, and it's a never ending journey. So
awesome.
So who are you influenced by both musically and lyrically?
Musically and lyrically, man, like lots of rock bands. Like I said, grew up, listening to all kinds of music. My dad was a big rock guy, like big classic rock guy. So we always had Zeppelin and Cream and Deep Purple and some of these bands playing at home. And so I got hooked on, a lot of these Christian rock bands with DC Talk back in the day. Jesus Freak album stuff just blew my mind. Bands like Grandma Train, bands like heavier bands like Tourniquet and Deliverance and some of these big Christian rock bands, and then mainstream bands like Metallica and just the big rock guitars and big drums, and as far as lyrically, I'd say, man, just about anybody. Like I love a lot of singer-songwriters, love a lot of folk artists and stuff like that, and always trying to learn more about how to deliver that message, how to be more vulnerable and authentic and creative in expressing some of those feelings and things like that. So yeah, I'd say lyrically inspired from, I mean, just about anybody. That's I'm always listening to people being like, man, I wish I could write like that. I wish I could deliver a line like they do. Like that's so awesome. So I'm learning how to do more of that all the time too.
So at what point, it sounds like you were brought up in music and your dad was a music worship leader. At what point were you like, man, I want to do that, or man, I want to start my own rock band? Did you go to some of those concerts and see somebody, or did you just feel the Lord was like, this is what you're going to do? And
yeah,
share a little bit on that.
Honestly, this is the crazy part. Like when I was in school and stuff like that, I had no interest in playing music at all. Like I loved music. I just wanted to play sports. I wanted to play basketball, I wanted to play baseball. I thought maybe I had a shot of, making it to the NBA. And then I realized I was, 5'7" and pretty uncoordinated and it wasn't in the cards for me. But it wasn't until I was about 17 that I really kind of just picked up a guitar and started strumming it and just fell in love, like I said, fell in love with some of those early rock bands. And then just the more I dug into stuff, the more just incredible musicians I found. And yeah, really just kind of once I started doing that, never really looked back, tried starting a bunch of bands in the Central Michigan area. Nothing that really ever stuck around for more than, a year or two. Never really got a lot of traction or progress with that. And it wasn't until later in my 20s that, like, after my last band had broke up, and I was like, man, I never wanted to do a solo thing ever. Had no interest whatsoever in doing the solo project, going out on my own. And it wasn't until that last band broke up that I really felt like I heard God, speak pretty direct and just say, like, you keep saying you want to serve me with music. Why are you waiting for somebody to come do it for you? And it was just like, right in the heart, And so, yeah, so took a step out, grabbed an acoustic guitar, started, just writing and strumming some songs. And yeah, can't imagine life having not taken that step,
And we are so thankful that you did take that step. I mean, we absolutely love your music. Speaking of which,
Thanks,
we
man.
know this is hard being that you have 3 kids. So the question I'm about to ask you is almost like, which is your favorite kid? What's your favorite song?
Favorite
you have
song?
written?
Favorite song that I've written?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And I have to give you like the dad answer. Like, I love them all in their own way. No, I mean, but honestly though, there's so many of them. Like I can take myself back to, exactly where I was when I wrote a lot of them, or, I can remember like, boy, I was in the car, driving down this road when that lyric popped in, or, I was in my kitchen strumming. So like, since I write a lot of my stuff kind of from personal experience and about things that I'm walking through and processing through. And I think there's so many of those songs that have been like, they're special to me and they mean an awful lot to me. And it almost makes you a little nervous to put them out in the world and go, I hope the stuff that's personal and means something to me means something to you too. So I don't really have a favorite. I'm awful proud of the new stuff that we put out, but a lot of that has to do with the people we've had on it and just some of the response to it. And it's been really, really special, but.
Awesome.
Is that non-committal enough of an answer? Like,
that was a very dad answer.
That's very good. Yeah. They're all beautiful.
So, let's talk touring. Like,
yeah.
What's your favorite venue that you've ever played?
Favorite venue? Man, this is almost going to sound like the dad answer on this too, but like, I genuinely like love the variety of things that I get to do. Like, I love playing some of these big festivals where you got like a sea of people and there's just a crazy energy there. But I also love playing like these youth groups or going and playing like camps and things like that, where you get to build relationships with people off stage, and get to know them and actually do ministry, like, day to day, like in the dining hall and in spots. And then we get together and we worship together, or then we get together and we rock out, and there's just a different energy. So I don't know that I have a favorite venue. I think the thing that makes so many of these venues special is like the people you get to share it with and the people you get to like come rock out. So there are some just places I look forward to going back every year and just seeing some of those faces, like almost like a big family reunion. But yeah, that's my non-committal answer for that one.
Again, a very dad answer.
That's right. Well,
No,
I
I don't know.
got experience, man.
Actually, I kind of like it because
Yeah.
it is cool to hear. The world would tell us, you want the biggest event, the most people there, and that's the coolest venue. But we have found so many times when we ask the same question to our Christian rock friends that some of the best shows are the intimate ones, like you stated. You build relationships and you get to go back and see the people and see the maturity that God's using your music for their lives.
Yeah.
And what a blessing that is back to you. People from
sure.
the world just can't grasp that blessing back because they tell you that that's not worth anything. But I think that's worth gold.
Well, and honestly, we talk about it all the time. Like, if you're a follower, if you're a believer, like I think, that ministry aspect of it is, it's a calling. Like it's what we're called to do. So much of that ministry happens at the merch table and happens in the dining hall and happens off stage. But even if you don't have that same faith or don't have that same thing, like, man, it's good business to get to know people. Like it's good, like it's just, if you want to get called back to places, build relationships. If you want to build fans and build a following, like be personable and actually get to know people and let them get to know you. Like it's just win-win all the way around.
So back to music, how many albums do you have out? How many EPs? Do you got stuff brewing? I know we've been playing some of the same one for probably about a year now since we started ours. But anything new coming onto the horizon? Maybe share a little past and a little coming up.
Absolutely. I've done 3 studio projects now, in various stages and stuff like that, EPs and albums. All the way back to 2009 was kind of my first one that came out. So I've done several kind of either smaller albums or bigger EPs with that. A couple singles mixed in here and there. I have a remix album that we actually sent some of the stuff to a bunch of Michigan-based electronic artists and DJs and hip hop artists and let them remix it and put it out. So just as a way to provide some more content and some stuff for people to listen to. But yeah, actually, I've got a couple tracks that are coming out after the first of the year, after we get kind of past the Christmas grind. Couple new things in the works there, and then heading back into the studio down in Nashville after the first of the year to start tracking the next big rock project. So getting some special guests on there, taking some steps, and hopefully taking some of that to the next level and just continuing some of the momentum we've already built.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
So we don't normally ask this of our artists, but I'm gonna ask you, being that you're here in Michigan, what has been the reaction that you've gotten from the churches that you attend, or the church that you attend? What's the reaction that you get to your music? Are they supportive of what you do, or do you see a little bit of fight back? I was talking to someone recently who was like, I just don't see a lot of ministry work in Christian rock and metal. And I was just like, And that's something that we're seeing a lot with the people we talk with. They're like, yeah, our church just doesn't support us.
Yeah.
What's been your experience?
I think so much of the support looks different. I think I've been real blessed and fortunate. My home church is really supportive. Both the staff and leadership, and the people who attend have been really cool about stuff. They show a lot of support and a lot of encouragement. Outside of that, I think the scene is it's different. Especially even over the last handful of years. We don't do as many youth group shows anymore, or as many church shows, and I think it's less about them being supportive or unsupportive, and just more about there's not a lot of youth groups we know that are doing concerts anymore or live music. So a lot of that scene has changed. It was changing before COVID and quarantine, and has definitely taken a shift since then. But I don't feel like it's necessarily hostile. Like I don't get a lot of pushback from churches or things like that. I definitely see that there's ministry work to be done. Definitely see opportunities in it. But I think we got to be a little more creative with it now. Like it's a little bit of a different world than it was even 2-3 years ago. So trying to go back to that same well and expect like it's just going to pick back up where it left off is, not very realistic at this point. But yeah, it's a different scene for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to show our local churches Christian rock and metal is music with a message that, kids
Absolutely.
connect with it. And so that's just kind
You
of,
hit it on the head too, like especially being from Michigan. Like, I mean, that's always kind of been the joke a little bit, is that the rock shows don't come to Michigan,
Yep.
Christian or otherwise. Like a lot of the rock shows just don't travel, north in the Midwest. So, so typically, I mean, we always try to encourage people, like, man, if there's a show coming to town, go. Like, they're not going to come back unless you start showing up, unless you start supporting. And yeah, when we start getting some of these Christian shows, like, it breaks my heart to see when we do get some really killer Christian bands. And I think they're some of the most talented bands out there right now, like in the Christian scene that I've ever seen. Like, there's some just ridiculously talented bands that are out there playing. It's a bummer when they come up and play and it's, mostly empty. We're like, oh, how do we get people to come support this and show it some love? So I understand some of the frustration. I understand, some of the, feeling like the uphill battle with it, but there's still ministry opportunities. There's still a lot of work to be done. And we're still just trying to support these other bands and stuff too, and just shine some light on them and let people connect with what they're doing.
Great answer. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So, listener wanted to know how you stay connected to God when you're on the road.
Stay connected to God on the road. Honestly, a huge part of it is the support system at home that I've got. It's really fun now, like having a group of guys that are around, that are on the same page, that support it. And I hired different guys to come out with me for different events, different tours and things like that. But having a wife who's just incredibly supportive, incredibly grounded, and really allows me to continue to pursue what God's called me to do is huge. And now that my kids are getting older, like, I'm actually bringing them on the road with me a lot more. So being able to share some of these ministry opportunities and just some of these musical things with them has really become, a new bonding point for us, and really a new bonding point in their faith and in mine, to just kind of see those steps and experience those new things together. So yeah, having the support back home, having, regular devotion time, having people who love you and ground you in that is pretty invaluable.
Great. That's awesome. So we heard about the new music coming out early in the year and possibly maybe more coming up. What about next? Are you starting to plan some tour or some festivals? Or I think, do you do Big Ticket every year? I think I caught you at Big Ticket one year. You may do it every year.
I did do Big Ticket every year for quite a while. I know in the last handful of years, I think they maybe moved away from some of the rock bands a little bit. Yeah,
Right.
Unfortunately, yeah, some festivals really have, and that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, actually, kind of in the process right now. Usually, we kind of start putting some of those tour plans together. And then once again we get through Christmas, I usually take December pretty off. I've only got 2 or 3 things left in December, as we're trying to plan Christmas at church and things like that.
Right.
But then after the first of the year, things start picking back up, where we get a chance to go to some camps, go hit the road and do some tours. And then summertime is really when all the festivals kind of open up and get a chance to go travel and go see all the old friends again. So hopefully we'll be back at Big Ticket, and anywhere else that'll open their doors to some rock music.
Right. Or we could get with those promoters and do Big Ticket heavy or something, where we can run a bunch of
that would be awesome.
I know they had the venue up there, so
yeah.
And
and love the ministry Big Ticket's doing. Love, again, the opportunity, especially, I mean, that it's really the only game in northern Michigan and stuff like that for that kind of music, that kind of scene. So as a Michigan artist, man, I would love to go back up there. Like I said, I did it pretty much every year from 2010 through the late 2010s. And yeah, that was another one of those family reunions where you play up there and be like, oh, there's our friends from that church. There's our friends from that group. There's, it's home,
And for those who are watching the podcast and are like, what is this Big Ticket they're talking about? It's every June, I believe, still. They do it. It's in Gaylord, Michigan, which is kind of quite a bit up the state of Michigan if you haven't been here. And it's sad because we do, even in our Rock for Him ministry, we've got so much local talent trying to get the gospel out. And it's been a little bit, I think Jason's question, you probably sense we've been a little frustrated with the reception that we receive inside our own territory. So we're trying
Yeah.
to spread the word. But
Yeah, feel that for sure, man.
Well, speaking of touring, one thing we always ask everybody that's on is if someone were to pull up to your door right now, pound on the door, say, grab your bag, we're leaving, going on tour now. If it could be anybody, who would you want it to be?
Who would I want it to be?
Who could you not say no to?
I feel like I wouldn't say no to a lot of them. You know, I've always, there's part of me that like would love to go hit the road with, you know, some of the bigger like legends of Christian rock. You know, like I get to record a lot of my albums with the guys from Disciple, so like to go out and hit the road with them, or some of the up and coming like heavier rock bands right now, the Wolves at the Gate and the I mean some of these just incredible bands. But I would love to go hit with some of these mainstream bands too, and take, you know, I'd love to go open for Metallica and go take Jesus on the road and go play every arena, you know, in the world. Just the opportunity to be able to go out into places that, you know, maybe you wouldn't expect a faith-based band to throw down, and just go share there. You know, I'd have a hard time saying no to the guys in Metallica or something like that.
Right.
have you ever had that type of opportunity while we're on that subject? Have you?
Yeah, I mean, not that type of opportunity.
Well,
yeah,
but
I've
I
had
mean,
opportunities
secular.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had the opportunity, like some festival kind of things, share the stage with some mainstream bands, and especially even local things. You know, if a mainstream band's coming through, they're like, "Hey, you're a local rock band, come play." So there's been some of those opportunities. Not so much opportunities to go hit the road and go really tour with them, but even on this next project we're working on, actually talking to a couple mainstream rock artists and stuff like that I've been big fans of for a long time, and working with them on writing some new stuff and possibly collaborating on some stuff, maybe getting them to come feature on a song. So yeah, just opportunities to break into that, and you know, less about getting, you know, famous and getting super popular, and more about like, man, what an opportunity to like take what we do and just take it to a crew that desperately needs to hear it. You know?
Love that.
Can you expound on that at all, or
on who we got coming? Well, none of it's confirmed yet, so it probably shouldn't put the cart before the horse. But you know, I'm a big like rock and metal fan from you know, the 90s and 2000s. So we've been fortunate to make some friends over the years with some artists that I've just been huge fans of, that really influential on, you know, guitar playing and songwriting and stuff like that. So putting some asks out, got some interest. Now it's just about whether or not we can, you know, move the pieces around and make it all work in time. But you'll be the first to know if I'm able to lock some of these down. I'll send you a message.
appreciate that.
So I mean, we've pretty much covered everything.
Oh no!
All right, cool. We're done.
No. I'm drawing a blank as to what to ask. So
well, maybe if there was one thing that you could tell our Rock for Him fans, you know, one thing you would want to get across to them, what would something like that be? Maybe.
Man, I mean, even just kind of expounding off of what we've already talked about. Like, first of all, thank you so much for supporting this type of music. Thank you for giving us the platform to do what we were created to do and what we absolutely love to do. And man, especially coming off these last couple of years where we weren't sure what that was going to look like, you know, coming off these couple of years where, you know, I had a pretty full year's worth of touring and shows, you know, canceled over a long weekend. Just weren't sure when we were going to be able to hit the road and share this stuff face to face with people, when we were going to be able to put new music out. So I don't think I ever took it for granted before, but I'm bound and determined not to take it for granted now. Like it's a blessing and an opportunity to do what we get to do. And, you know, so thank you so much for supporting that. Thank you for allowing us to share that with you. Thank you for responding. And please continue, you know, like stuff, share stuff, like spread the word. I mean, it takes no dollars at all to, you know, throw a share on somebody's song or, you know, on a video or something like that. And just, you know, spread that message, that positivity out amongst, you know, your circle of influence and who God's given you influence with. It's huge.
That's awesome. And to just kind of expound on that a little bit, on spreading that positivity and getting the word out, where can people find your stuff? Where can, like, someone that's just now discovering you, that's watching Rock for Him and like, oh, this guy's awesome, I want to hear his music, where can they go where they can hit that download button or watch your videos?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And I've got my main website, mattmooremusic.com. I mean, all the music's there, the videos are there, the merch is there. Tour dates will be there as we start locking those in for the new year. But otherwise, I mean, anywhere that you listen to music, if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Pandora, like wherever it is you're at, I mean, the stuff's on there. Check it out, share what you like, skip what you don't.
Now, on the website, can you also buy like physical CDs?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
For sure.
Something I've thought about a lot is, you can go on and just hit the download button on anything, but I personally love that physical CD. And plus, I think the artist benefits a little bit more from us going to the show, walking up to that merch table, buying the merch, buying the CD, rather than just sitting there and spinning it on Spotify. Not that that's bad. I mean, it helps, but
No, I mean, honestly, like I still love the CDs too. I'm at kind of a spot where, I'll buy an artist CD and won't even necessarily open it. We'll buy it, and then go just stream them on Spotify so they get those spins too. But yeah, I mean, that kind of support's absolutely huge. But more than making $10 on a CD, like I want people to hear these songs. Like I want people to connect with this message. So however it is that people engage with that, like that's what I'm about. So like if you go to my website, all my stuff's available for free. You can download it and own it for free. You can go stream it wherever you're at. Or if you want to hit the merch store, like we got them right here, we'll send them to you. If you want me to mess it up with my autograph on it and send it to you, I'll do that too. But but
that's what I like.
It's so much, and my kids are in that spot. Like my daughter, who's 17 now, actually went out and found all my old CDs in the garage, and she's just, she's going through them and like rediscovering these bands for the very first time. And it's pretty cool just having those physical copies of music is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, before we leave this subject, I found that sometimes the popular songs that make it to mainstream or to the radio or what have you, every once in a great while you'll be listening to a CD and a song will just hit you and you're like, wow, why isn't this one on the radio? Because the Lord puts that in your situation. And there's been quite a few, at least in my own experience, that I never would have known about if I wouldn't have purchased that full CD. So
absolutely,
sometimes go against the grain and get the entire package, because there's a lot of great content. And I'm thinking back, I think it was the band Boiling Point, when we asked them about one of their songs that they liked, they had mentioned one that I hadn't heard, and now it's one of my faves, and I would have never known.
That's cool.
Not knowing from them. So
yeah, no, that's right on, man. Because I mean, there's so many of those that like either don't fit a particular radio format, or whether they're too long or they're too aggressive or they're too it's not enough of this and and I've even had some of those. Like also for artists, like there's a certain amount of we've only got a certain amount of dollars that we're going to put behind pushing and promoting a single and hiring a radio promoter and contacting.
Great point.
So there's definitely songs on all these CDs that I would love to get in people's ears. I think some of them that could connect, but radio is not necessarily going to be the method of conveyance for those. Like you're gonna have to find it on Spotify or hear it live, or connect with that story with it.
Right.
Or get the CD. And
that's right, the CD.
Yes.
Hey, get the CD.
See, this is marketing right here. This is coming together.
So I gotta ask, what was it like working with Josiah?
Oh, that dude is like next level. Like he's one of those guys. Like he's operating on a different plane for sure. He's an incredible musician, incredible producer, great ear, but an even more incredible human being. Like he's just a good guy. And working in the studio with Josiah is honestly one of the most encouraging experiences I've ever had, recording music. Like he just really invested in the project, like really helped coach me through like vocally and through parts and just he really kind of walked with me through it. And so he's pretty incredible. The new stuff I've got coming out, we just did in his studio, and planning to head back down in January and and track a little bit more at the ranch.
He seems to be kind of like the big name in Christian music right now. Like everybody's wanting to work with him.
Well, there's a reason, man. Like I said, just musically, like he's next level. But I mean, his ear for stuff, and he's not just, pigeonholed as a rock guy. Like he's just, got such a great ear for all these different styles of music and arranging and songwriting, and really no ego as far as like, he wants it to be the best song. He wants it to be the best thing possible, and for it to have the best chance to reach people, and it's so encouraging to be able to hit with that.
I almost feel like he's the fifth member of the show. His name and John Cooper's name come up almost every single show. Almost every show. I'm like, they might as well just come on the show.
Yeah.
Well, make some calls. Like, we can make it happen.
If you happen to see them and you're like, hey, there's these three idiots on the radio that I think you need to talk to.
I was texting with Josiah today. I'll let him know. Like, we'll put it out.
Sweet.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome. We always two things that we love to do every show. We make a purpose to do is ask your testimony, and then also ask what can we do to pray for you and your ministry. So sure. I would like to take this time. Maybe if there's a couple things you could throw us out, we'd love to pray for you.
For sure, man.
Important.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in that time of year, with December where, everything gets a little nuts with Christmas and just that opportunity to share the gospel. Like I said, I'm the worship pastor at my church, and with, Christmas and Easter, we kind of be in those 2 times a year that people will show up, that otherwise wouldn't. Like, there's this really cool opportunity to be able to share Jesus with them, and to put together something that'll really touch people and reach people. So, would love prayer, for us as we plan that out. And then, yeah, honestly, just this new year, like it's fun to make plans, and it's fun to dream and to put stuff together. But, those plans aren't a whole lot of anything if God's not at the center of them, and if he's not blessing that stuff and ordaining that stuff. So really just taking all those plans and all those dreams and laying those down at his feet and asking him to do what only he can do with it. So that's the goal with 2023. I've got big ideas and big plans, but just praying and asking God will take me where it is that he can do the most good, and we're not about learning my name, but about people learning his name and making that connection with him. So
love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks, man.
Well, Jason, you want to pray us out, or?
Absolutely. It'd be a pleasure. All right. Great and Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for bringing Matt on with us today and just giving us the chance to get to know him and share him and his music with our listeners. Lord, I ask that you watch over him as we go through this Christmas season, and just help him to be able to share the gospel effectively with those that are coming into the church. And Lord, just give him the right words to say. I ask that you bless his direction and ministry as he prepares for the upcoming year, the projects that he has coming up. Lord, just let him be honoring and glorifying to you. Again, we thank you so much for this opportunity to get to know Matt a little bit more. It's been such a blessing to us, and we hope that it's honoring to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Well, Matt, I just want to thank you again. This has been fantastic. I honestly, every show is always my favorite. It's like, what's your favorite song? Every show is my favorite one. Just getting to know you guys. So, Scott, again, thank you, bro. It's always a pleasure. Jeremy, looking smooth. I missed the mohawk, though. Yeah. Matt, this has been an honor.
I'll work on my mohawk for the next one. I'll be
yes. So to all you out there that are watching right now, go out, pick up Matt's music. If he's out playing live, go see him. Yes, go buy it. Buy it.
It's a good album.
Yes.
Won't be disappointed.
You will not. Remember, if you're going to rock for him.
If you like what you saw today, hit the subscribe and like button down below, and don't forget to share it to all your friends. Also, leave us a comment down below. If you're going to rock for him.